Right in the heart of Europe, there's a nation that has been forged in the fire of colliding empires, a land with a language all its own, and a truly unbreakable spirit. This is the story of a country that has spent more than 1,000 years standing at the crossroads of history.
Think about it. It has no oceans, no seaports. It's a country completely hemmed in by others.
And yet, that doesn't mean it was ever isolated. In fact, it's just the opposite. Its story is one of being a vital and often very violent intersection for the armies, the cultures, and the ideas that literally shaped the continent.
So to really get a handle on Hungary, you have to understand its position. It's a nation defined by its geography, this basin in the middle of the continent that saw wave after wave of people come through. We're talking Romans, Huns, Slavs, and Avars. They all left their mark before the founders of the nation we know today even arrived.
And then came the Magyars. And their language, well, it's like a linguistic island. It's a Uralic tongue, totally unrelated to the Slavic, Germanic, or Latin languages spoken by all of its neighbors. This completely unique identity is a thread that runs through Hungary's entire story.
And that unique identity? It would become the foundation for one of Europe's great medieval powers. The journey from nomadic tribes to a Christian kingdom. This is the story of how Hungary was born.
Okay, so here's how it all went down. The whole thing kicks off in 895, when a leader named Arpad led the Magyar tribes into the Carthian basin. About a century later, we get a huge turning point. King Stephen I is crowned, and he decisively turns Hungary towards Western Christianity. By 1222, they issued the Golden Bull, a really early charter that limited the king's power. But this rising kingdom was about to face a near apocalypse. Just 2 decades later, Mongol invaders swept through and killed up to half the population. It was a catastrophe that would shape their defensive mindset for centuries to come.
After rebuilding from that horror, Hungary reached a true golden age, maybe its peak of power, and it's all embodied by this one guy, King Matthias Corvinus. Now, he wasn't just a military genius who built the legendary Black Army. He was also this enlightened patron of the arts, creating a library that was second only to the Vatican's.
And the kingdom's prestige was felt all across the continent. I mean, you have the Sun King himself, Louis XIV of France, declaring that Hungary's famous Tokaji wine was the wine of kings and king of wines. That's more than just a compliment about a drink. It's a symbol of a rich, sophisticated, and powerful culture.
But as is so often the case in history, that golden age couldn't last forever. The kingdom's position at the crossroads of empires was about to become its greatest vulnerability, leading to a period of fracture and just immense loss.
The big turning point was the Battle of Mohacs in 1526. It was a catastrophic defeat at the hands of the Ottoman Empire, and it completely shattered the medieval kingdom. For over 150 years, the country was split into 3 parts, one ruled by the Austrian Habsburgs, one by the Ottomans, and a little semi-independent piece called Transylvania. And even after the Ottomans were finally pushed out, Hungary didn't find itself fully free. It just ended up under the rule of the Habsburgs.
Centuries of struggle followed, all leading up to what is, without a doubt, the single most traumatic event in modern Hungarian history. After World War I, Hungary was part of the losing side, the Austro-Hungarian Empire, and its fate was decided at the Treaty of Trianon. The terms of that treaty were devastating. I mean, look at this number. In a single stroke of a pen, the historic Kingdom of Hungary lost 71% of its territory. It was a staggering loss that redrew the map of Central Europe overnight.
And the human cost was just as staggering. Over 3 million ethnic Hungarians suddenly woke up one morning to find themselves living as minorities in other countries. This legacy, often called the Trianon trauma, is something that continues to influence the nation's politics and its very identity, even today.
And if you can believe it, the shock of Trianon was just the beginning. The 20th century was going to test Hungary like never before, throwing it straight into the crucible of fascism, World War II, and decades of communist rule. First, the country was drawn into an alliance with the Axis powers, and it suffered enormous losses and devastation, and also participated in the horrors of the Holocaust. But liberation from one tyranny just led to another. The end of the war brought Soviet occupation, and that was the beginning of more than 40 years as a communist satellite state behind the Iron Curtain.
In the later decades, Hungary earned this unique nickname. Under a system known as goulash communism, they allowed for a few more consumer goods and a slightly better standard of living than other places in the Eastern Bloc. But this relative comfort was really just a mask for a total lack of political freedom.
But before that goulash communism, the nation's raw desire for freedom just exploded. In October 1956, students and workers took to the streets of Budapest in this spontaneous, breathtakingly brave uprising against Soviet domination. They were fighting tanks with little more than pure defiance and Molotov cocktails.
The whole world watched, absolutely captivated. Time magazine didn't name a single person its Man of the Year for 1956. No, they named the Hungarian freedom fighter. For a few glorious, unbelievable days, it really seemed like they might win, but the revolution was ultimately and brutally crushed by a massive Soviet invasion.
And yet, through all those centuries of conquest, of division, of repression, something distinct and vibrant always endured. You could call it the Hungarian soul, this rich tapestry of culture, intellect, and pure ingenuity.
For starters, you can taste it. The food is this rich, hearty cuisine defined by one of their greatest innovations, paprika. And of course, dishes like goulash are known and loved all over the world.
It's also a story of incredible ingenuity. I mean, this puzzle, invented by Erno Rubik in 1974, is a perfect symbol of a specific kind of Hungarian thinking: creative, logical, and maybe a little bit maddening.
And the cube is just the beginning. For a country its size, the intellectual firepower is just staggering. We're talking about a long list of Nobel laureates, but also foundational inventions you use every day, like the ballpoint pen, the discovery of vitamin C, even the basic principles of holography. Hungary has always punched way, way above its weight in science and technology.
So, from the Magyar tribes to the European Union, Hungary has always been a nation in motion, defined by its central, often precarious, and absolutely pivotal place in Europe, a nation of survivors, innovators, and freedom fighters. And as it navigates the really complex challenges of the 21st century, the question remains, what comes next for the nation at the crossroads?